After several rounds of Plutonian transits for the last decade in my life, I feel like I'm a pro. First, Pluto transited opposite to my Saturn, and what I saw in my life is total transformation of the structures of my life. It was probably arguably the hardest one because it was the first time and it took me some time to realize what was happening. At the same time, there was some ease and grace about it because at that time I was going through Course in Miracles lessons, the 365 lessons. I was at home on sabbatical from work where the sabbatical allowed me to stay home with all bills paid and my salary, and I was free to do creative projects. During the day, I created a lot of YouTube videos with physics materials for my students, but early in the morning, occasionally in the afternoon, and in the evenings, I was free to work on my spiritual growth. And I have to admit, without those course lessons, the Plutonian transit would have been much more dramatic and much more scary. There was a lot of anger, a lot of fear, and I found those lessons very, very helpful, even if I didn't understand them. And that's the beauty of those lessons. I love A Course in Miracles, and the best part is that you can do it at home, you can do it at work, you can do it without anybody even knowing it, in the middle of a party or when you're out there in a restaurant with your friends, because all it takes is just a few seconds, a few moments to reset your mind. Well, that takes some time, of course, and a lot of practice. And that's what I did during my sabbatical and during my first Plutonian transit. And by the end, what I saw is the structure of my life changing. If you're familiar with astrology or astrological symbols, you know Saturn stands for that. The next it hit was Venus. Venus tends to be somewhat close to Saturn in my chart. And for those of you who have known me for a long time, you know that my hair used to be even shorter than what it is now. This is long hair for me. So long time ago, for many years, almost 20 or 30 years, my hair was very, very short. And people used to call me sir. I would go to the store and it's like, yes, how can we help you, sir? I used to get mad. Until one day I realized, I looked at my chart, and this is where astrology helped a lot. And I realized that Venus, the symbol of feminine features, was a little bit too close and repressed by Saturn, the harsh taskmaster. For whatever reason, I had to go through some discipline, probably, or life experiences to eventually break away from that rigidity. And so there it is. One day, on the surface sounding scary, Pluto comes and opposes my Venus and offers that transformation of everything feminine, or the way I view the feminine energy. It was scary, it was weird, it was strange, and I have to admit, it was actually exhilarating. Almost practically overnight, I discovered that I enjoy colors, and I found the power and the courage to walk in the store and buy the brightest pink t-shirt that I could find there. You can see. Before the transit, I would have been like, is it possibly, could it, isn't it too loud? What if it doesn't match the rest of my clothes? But after Pluto is done with that transit in your psyche, you're like, that's it, I like it. And the world gets to deal with me. I'm telling you those stories so you can actually see that there's an empowerment at the end. It's so awesome and so, I guess the word is awesome, really. I can't come up with another word. That it helps you to go through the other transformations. It's still hard throughout those 2-3 years, and there are days when you're impatient and you stomp or go in the corner and sulk, but you know something really, really cool is coming out. So no need to worry about those Plutonian transit. If you go to your astrologer or someone tells you, hey, look at Pluto, don't freak out. At the same time, I don't want to sugarcoat it too much. The biggest problem the way I see it is it takes very, very long. It is almost like when you're renovating your house. You make the plans, you do your homework, you get your 3 quotes, you select the best contractor. They come and they demolish your room or whatever room or part of your house you are renovating. And then there are delays, and there's some supplier who didn't provide what you needed. And there's a day when you actually lose faith in the whole project and you think, will this ever end? Do I have to live with half built house or room? Shall I cut my losses and move on? That is the pre-dawn moment. Next day, they start painting, the furniture comes back in, and then you wonder why you even lost faith. So that is how Pluto transformations feel. Another thing I noticed is that Pluto transformations can trigger some anxieties. I don't want to say that if you have anxieties, that's necessarily Pluto. But what I would like to say is that if you are undergoing a Plutonian transit, you might feel more anxious than your normal self. What I found for myself helpful in those moments was to remind myself that I'm actually being released. It's not a sacrifice. There's no drama. There's no suffering. I'm actually being released. And so I would tell myself, you're being released. You're being released. You're being released. And that usually was just enough to give me that peace so I can actually regain my faith in the process and have the patience to see it through and meet that awesome power that waits always at the end of the Pluto transit.